Hello GQ, we're the cast of Wednesday.
And today we're going to be breaking down some of the biggest moments of the show.
The Poe Cup was about 2 weeks of
2 weeks long.
The shoot.
Yeah.
It was freezing outside.
Months of rehearsals too, though. Like
5 a.m.
Yeah.
Like call time to
that
get
was
to a lake.
Wait, hold on. Is that the first time we ever spent time with each other?
The Poe Cup? So
No. Do you remember when we were doing the boat lessons?
Yes.
It totally was.
Yeah.
I think did you flip your boat?
Yeah.
Yeah, Georgie flipped his boat.
On the first day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think it was Jenna and I
remember
in this
that?
little canoe, and then Georgie was in a canoe with a stunt guy, and I think they flipped the boat.
It actually was great bonding. It was, we all were on
You
that
weren't on our
set.
boat, were you? Because I think we were started like singing like Hollaback Girl to be in.
Oh, I wasn't on the
In sync with
Hollaback
each
Girl
other.
boat either.
No, the worst thing about filming that was that we had to keep up with the camera boat, but you couldn't because of the wake from the camera boat would just push you back, so it was kind of...
Oh yeah, it was really hard
counterintuitive.
shooting coverage because we were going, in parallel directions, but there was a lot of footage that you guys ended up doing that I didn't do. Like pickup days, they filmed like this big, huge pool or tank, but the Poe Cup was wonderful. We likened it to summer camp. Everybody was in costume. The summer was ending and the fall was beginning. And we would just like sit around and play hand games or card games.
Yeah.
We would take naps on the floor.
I have a picture of you passed out on the floor of our tent.
Georgie, what was it like? I mean, did you fall that day off the boat?
No, I felt like in the first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as soon
But
as I got on the
somebody's boat flipped that day. Or like when we were filming the
boats
races.
did flip.
Yeah, I was pretty hopeless in the canoe.
It was really incredible shooting in Romania. It was a bit strange because it was the pandemic. It's on a weird, at least for me, like I felt like we couldn't really talk to people back home because the time difference was so severe.
I think we were all very young
12 hours.
in a country like so far away.
Yeah,
it
but
was
tonally and visually, it was so aligned with our show and the atmosphere and the stages, the castles that we would shoot at. A lot of the buildings were super weird and off-putting. A lot of like dilapidated rooms. It was really incredible and I think really set the tone for what we were trying to accomplish. We went to Ireland for the second season of the show, which is beautiful, amazing, such incredible crews. But sometimes it looked a bit too green. And it was better the Romanian winter, the harsh, dark,
conditions.
ambient. Yeah, exactly. It really helped the show, I think.
Yeah, I think it was a special place too because it was a first time thing for a lot of us. And so it was like a training ground and getting, first time on set, like a set like that. It's endeared.
I wasn't in it so much, so I spent a lot of touring. I went Dracula's place, Transylvania.
Oh yeah, I saw the Bed of Nails.
Yeah, I did a lot of touring around. Great thing about for these guys, they were working every day of every, week. But we just came in and out, didn't we, sweetheart?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We were like the pros.
Point to Wednesday.
I was very intent on approaching it with purpose. I mean, it being my introduction essentially to the world was very nerve-wracking, but thankfully the stunt team was just so important in helping all of us feel prepared. And even though Jenna and I didn't really get to rehearse it, we knocked it out of the park. And I think we did the first take and it was like you could hear a pin drop after we called cut and then everyone broke into applause. So that was a really special moment.
Yeah, it was an exciting day.
Mm-hmm. We had like maybe 2 or 3 times where we got to actually try it with each other, but it was in blocks, like it wasn't the full thing.
So the stunt team made this huge gym, and then we would practice within these foam walls, but you're right, we did get to do like once or twice
at
with
the
each other,
location,
and then,
yeah. Like we had a separate room where it was like very tight, so we couldn't even do the full thing together the morning of. But it's very choreographed, and so really my part was just making sure I had it down to be ready for Tim, because it's very exact, you know, like hitting your marks and making sure it can all be captured. But again, like all credit to the stunt team for helping us, you know, feel prepared. And I went from not knowing fencing at all to doing that scene, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, but also in terms of like setup and cameras and things like that, Tim is very spontaneous, and you know, it's heavily dictated by blocking and things like that, so he has to see these things in the room, and then he kind of goes from there. So we didn't really have a say. He just kind of watches these things and then decided, you know, what best fits, not only for the characters, but then also visually. So it's nice because it gives us a bit more freedom as well, because we get to kind of decide which direction or, you know, we want to stand or go in.
Still as sharp as ever, my pig-tailed protege.
Uncle Fester.
They're sort of kindred spirits. So they're family members as well as friends. And Fester's kind of like an outsider and a loner. So he takes pleasure in getting to help her out and go on adventures. And so he does that in the first season and the second season as well. There's like, he gets to go off and do stuff. And he takes glee in it.
Yeah, you're really weird in the show.
Yeah. Properly weird.
Yeah.
Properly.
Somehow weirder than the Addams Family.
Yeah, you do have a different weird dimension. Like seriously weird.
Yeah.
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 I think your humor is so great.
I just think he's a freak.
And I think he knows he's a freak. And they sort of put prosthetic covers over my eyebrows, paint me a sort of deathly gray, dark circles around my eyes, and then this coat that like changes my posture. It's like right up to like the bottom of my chin with this huge collar. And it's great, like it becomes like almost like a cape or a cocoon. He's like a walking cocoon. And he's like got a little suitcase, he's like always on the go. So it's pretty great. It's a nice way to exist.
Did they cut your hair for season 2 as well?
That same. Yeah, it's also just easier that way, instead of putting on a bald cap or whatever.
Still bringing a knife to a sword fight?
You taught me everything I know.
But I didn't teach you everything I know.
Well, at the start, it's back to school day, basically, after a little hiatus, a little vacation. So Wednesday goes back to school, and Morticia and Gomez takes both their children back to Nevermore and drop them off in a very different situation from when she left.
Wednesday is struggling with her psychic ability. Morticia's trying to help her. Wednesday doesn't want any help because she's very independent. She feels like her mom is kind of smothering her. She's joining the school board to be a part of this gala. So they're at an odds again. Even though they have a better understanding of one another after the end of season 1, we eventually challenge each other to a sword fight to solve our differences.
I think it's an extension of the dueling that we have as characters, verbally and emotionally. And so when Wednesday challenges her mother to an actual physical duel, it's something kind of magical and kind of, you know, dangerous and, you know, it's very conflicting about, as a mother, would you ever hurt her daughter? But then Wednesday's Wednesday, and the challenge for these two women. I had such great fun shooting that with you.
Yeah, so did I. It's one of my favorite things to come out of the show. It shows that they still love each other, weirdly enough, because it's very much in the heart of what the Addams family is, and they both like sword fighting. So they know they're at odds, but they're kind of still like play wrestling almost in a sense.
Exactly.
Where they know.
And the dialogue has nuances, very fun. It's a wonderful sequence.
You can tell they're both getting into it.
Yeah.
You know, they're deriving pleasure from the experience, which is nice.
And all along, I thought they were bonding
It's a huge choreography, you know, really. Once we mastered the physicality of the sword fighting, then the choreography, and then interjecting the dialogue and keeping our characters. There is Wednesday and me as Morticia. And then they added the blindfold, which through technical advances, we were able to get some sense of where we were positioned whilst we were doing it. So
that was terrible.
Yeah, it was a pretty daunting experience.
They kept sliding off.
Yeah.
The continuity was messed up, but we made it through.
We made it through and it was fun. It's a very real mother-daughter relationship, you know. I didn't really have that with my own daughter, but I've seen it, and I think a lot of women will, you know, be able to relate to it, as people of all generations can relate to so much of our cast and characters in Wednesday. It's a very strong sense of love, but with that comes the reality. These are two very different women who happen to be blood related, but the contention is still there.
Gomez, during their sword fight, is taking a shower and singing one of the ultimate, most beautiful love songs of all time, Bésame Mucho, which I worked on for like over 2 months. I really got into it. I was thinking I was going to launch another career.
And your body looks wonderful,
honey,
darling.
Please, don't go there.
It was gorgeous, gorgeously, very subtly, subtly shot for obvious reasons.
Bésame mucho. We're singing the song, having a great time, but somebody else had other plans, and that was Pugsley's pet.
Thing is, like, her son, her brother, her friend, her confidant, she's quite difficult on him, but as we all are with people that we love, you know, there's a comfortability and a relaxed nature to their experience, and it's a very big moment for her. As we see, you know, in the first episode of season 1, Wednesday crying over the loss of her pet, Scorpion, it's kind of a similar thing, and I say, you know, it's really big that I don't cry, I don't show emotion side of her. So that was really interesting as an actor to play and kind of find a way that felt, I kind of wanted it to look almost childlike because it's so innocent and it's such a huge deviation from everything that we had done in the show thus far. Also, Victor, the actor who plays the hand, it is like working with a real actor, you know. He's in his blue suit and he's reacting to you in real time. So it's really, really beneficial, but you know, we did a couple of takes and he wouldn't do anything. He would just lie there playing dead. And then we did a couple of takes where every once in a while he would like catch me off guard and do something like caress my hand or react in a certain way. And it was very bizarre. I'd never had anything like that before, but he kind of surprised me. And I really, really enjoyed that. It was such a break from everything that we had been doing. And it gave me an opportunity to express myself in a different way. And you know, television we were in Romania for 8 months at a time. So to be able to do something different and something that was challenging for the character, it was just a very refreshing day. I remember being very pleased with the experience. Also, great almost death for Thing. Walking in and seeing him stabbed to the wall, like a vampire with a stake through the chest I love that. I loved the scene also right before prying him off. It was a nice stick to it.
Mommy loves you.
It was a surprise, but not a surprise that it was a surprise. I was like, of course there are going to be twists like this. So it was great, but also seeing it come to fruition was even better. Also walking onto that set, it's like practical, you know, it's like gigantic. And it looked amazing.
I loved it. It's obviously very fitting for our show, but then also very exciting / devastating at the same time because obviously Christina Ricci has been such a pleasure and such a gift to our show. You know, she was kind of a surprise hire for all of us, and it was beautiful, and I loved getting the opportunity to work with her. But then she absolutely just kills it. Also, I love her look, the new haircut. She looks like, you know, Mia Farrow, Rosemary's Baby. Like everything about her, it felt very fitting. And if she was gonna go, it was a very, it was a good go. Earned one.
I wasn't in that sequence, but I love watching it because it has such scary elements, such great performances, and the humor as well. You know, I found myself rib laughing, chuckling, as well as getting scared, you know, out of my skin. I love you, and the canteen lady, the lady.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah, I love that. That's my
You know,
favorite bit.
It's all in that sequence.
We had so much more of that. We just didn't have the time to shoot it, so we had to get ready. But he had like a whole saga.
It was just wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! It's happening! They got wolfing out!
That's definitely a big transformation for her, because when we meet her, she's definitely an outcast among outcasts, doesn't have a pack, is kind of ostracized because she can't really use her power, so she's kind of there for no reason. And when we first get introduced to her, we wanted to make it feel like she had been waiting for a friend for a long time in that dorm room. And her wolfing out kind of symbolizes that she is finally able to join the life that she wanted to, and now finds a pack and feels like she fits in, and that's a really big moment for her, especially that when it happens, she's using it for good and she's using it to help Wednesday. It's a big transformation for her.
Watch out! It's tear gas!
Signal air support.
Nevermore has like this camp that we do, and unfortunately we've booked it at the same time as this Boy Scouts camp, and essentially we have to battle it out to see who can take over the camp for the weekend. We played this like capture the flag sort of game, except with an egg. Was it an egg?
I think it was an egg.
Wasn't it an
egg?
orb? I thought it was huge.
Zephyr?
Yeah, it was like a huge egg.
I mean, it looked like a football.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a big egg sort of thing.
It was like this season's version of the Poe Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just like a big spectacle, campy experience.
Aim for the Gorgon's beanie. What Catherine said earlier about how, you know, throughout the show I feel like different characters are going through very real life situations, even in this sort of heightened world, and I think finding yourself in high school is a big thing for a lot of people, and I think that's what Ajax is sort of dealing with this season, and I hope he gets to a point where he can feel more confident in using his powers other than on himself, which is nice.
After having the carrot like dangled in front of our noses for season 1, we were like, anything else we can do? Like another crystal ball moment. So when Miles and Al and Tim called me, asked me for me though, Louis as well, but we're going to be incorporated into the school. It was just such a treat to read the scripts because it was so beautifully intertwined. It wasn't like, we need more family, do this. It just dovetailed beautifully into these guys' story, and the central story being Wednesday. And we were just thrilled, weren't we, Louis?
Oh my goodness, we were.
We were so happy.
I mean, we got to tango together and go camping together and enjoy the incredible Adam's tent. Remember that?
That was
yes.
Yes. It was a great time. I think our characters were really efficient in the storytelling this year.
For season 2, Lady Gaga is going to be a part of it.
Gaga is such a powerhouse and such a beautiful person. We're very excited. The crew was very excited. They showed up wearing their nice dress shirts that day. She's a cool lady, and I'm excited for everyone to see her in this because she's great.
I've never been on a show where there's been so much chat about who's doing what and if there's this going on, and we like see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
Thank you for talking through some of the biggest moments of Wednesday.